The Biggest Lie Competition. A Fairwood Forest Story. And that's when I defeated the last giant flying snake with my crystal sword, cried Pino the Badger in front of an amazed audience. But this extraordinary story was completely made up. And today, this lie was going to cause him the biggest trouble of his life. It all started when Pino saw the poster for the Grand True Stories competition in Fairwood Forest. True stories, he sneered. I've got something better than that. I've got the most extraordinary made-up stories. Because Pino loved to lie to impress his friends. Pino, watch out, warned Leo, Pip, and Spiky. This time, it's a true stories competition. But Pino swept their worries aside. Don't worry. My story will be so extraordinary that no one can possibly doubt it's true. And there it was. Pino finished his incredible story about flying snakes and magic swords. The audience was on its feet, applauding him wildly. What a fantastic adventure, the spectators cried. Pino was smiling, proud of his success, but something deep down was bothering him. Without delay, Mrs. Owl announced, the winner is Pino. He received his gold medal to innovation, but strangely, instead of joy, he felt an odd emptiness. Did this victory really mean anything? That night, Pino couldn't get to sleep. His medal was shining in the darkness, but instead of making him happy, it reminded him that he had cheated. Do I really deserve this? He wondered for the first time in his life. The next morning, disaster. A giant oak tree uprooted by the storms was speeding down the river, straight towards the school where Mr. Quill the porcupine was giving lessons. It's going to crush the school, cried Pino upon discovering the serious danger. Pino ran faster than ever towards his friends. Quick! Hurry! A giant tree is going to destroy the school. We need to evacuate right now. His heart was pounding. For the first time, he was telling the absolute truth in an emergency. But Leo shook his head. Come on, Pino, another story. Pip sighed. You've just won your competition. Stop making things up. Even Mrs. Owl refused to listen. My little one, you've told enough stories for today. Pino watched in horror as the giant tree moved inexorably closer to the school. My lies have locked me in a prison, he realized, desperate. No one believes me anymore, even when it's vital. I must act alone. Without wasting a second, Pino rushed to the riverbank. He rolled enormous stones, dragged branches, dug with his claws until they hurt. Faster! Faster! He kept repeating. The tree was arriving. He absolutely had to divert it. The giant tree arrived at full speed. Pino pushed with all his might against his improvised dam. Come on! It has to work! At the very last moment, the tree hit the obstacle and changed its course. The school was saved. But in the effort, Pino fell into the turbulent water. At least, the school is safe, he cried as he disappeared into the stream. His lie from yesterday was redeemed by his heroism today. When the animals discovered the enormous tree run aground and the heroic dam, they understood the terrible truth. Pino was right, cried Leo, horrified. And we didn't believe him. He risked his life to save us. Luckily, Stella the firefly found Pino unconscious on a bank. He's alive, she cried. Everyone rushed to save the one who had saved the school despite their refusal to believe him. Pino opened his eyes, surrounded by all his friends in tears. Can you forgive us? Whispered Leo. We didn't know how to listen to you when you were finally telling the truth. The badger smiled faintly, touched by their sincere regrets. No, said Pino firmly, it is I who must apologize. He held out his medal. I don't deserve it. My story was fake. I lied so much that when I told the truth, no one could believe me. It's my fault. Mrs. Owl gently placed her paw on his shoulder, but you deserve it now. Not for your lie yesterday, but for your courage today. You showed that even a late truth can save lives. Pino stood up, tears in his eyes. I promise all of you, I will never lie again. I've learned that the truth, even an ordinary one, is 1,000 times better than the most beautiful lie. And to prove his sincerity, Pino told his first true story, about his sleepless night with his medal, his shame, and his regrets. Simple, but so sincere that the whole audience was moved to tears. A few days later, Pino had become the official true storyteller of Fairwood Forest. Every evening, he gathered everyone to share the genuine adventures of the forest. And funnily enough, reality was more beautiful than all his lies. Under the stars of Fairwood Forest, Pino looked at how much he'd changed. His medal was now genuinely shining. He had learned the most important lesson: real trust, real friendship, and real happiness all start with the truth.
Enjoyed the tale? Give us a thumbs up. See you soon.